None of these people, these regular, average, ordinary people in America would be doing this if you weren't on the news every day, relentlessly making these people believe that Donald Trump is the devil himself.
Welcome to the Black American, channel of the free and the brave. Today we're talking about the Democrats. We are talking about how everyone is done with the Democratic Party. Now, I don't mean everybody, but there is a huge shift of people just throwing their hands up and saying they're done, because there's a movement where people are leaving. People are leaving in droves. Black Americans, white Americans, all Americans. Now, today we're going to talk about this video of a young lady who goes on a rant. And I need to make a video like this too, because I got some things to say. I may do it here coming up soon. Before we get into it, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Trying to get up to 9,000 subscribers. Now let's get into this lady because she is fiery and I love it.
I'm so exhausted of pretending that the left are not domestic terrorists and that we haven't been watching their gradual decline into absolute insanity pretty much since I've been alive, right? I've been involved in politics since a very young age. I volunteered on my first campaign when I was 12 years old. At 16, I decided to start the Young Republicans Club at my very liberal high school in Connecticut because I was inspired by Turning Point and Charlie Kirk. When I was there, I instantly became a target of both staff as well as students. There was a girl who was a member of the Diversity Club who went around saying that when she saw me, she was going to punch me in the face. I reported it to the teacher who runs the Diversity Club, in which I was told that it's justified because I say really mean things. Mind you, I never had a conversation with a student a day in my life. There were teachers who went around ripping down my flyers. And when I spoke out against the fact that a public school was sponsoring a walkout against the Second Amendment, I was once again targeted with a student threatening to assault me, and the school just blindly looked the other way, despite the fact she did so very publicly on social media. When I got to college, it just got worse. I was a student when October 7th happened. I had very close friends of mine in Israel going through hell on earth. And what did I get that Monday when I went back to my university? I got to see terrorist simps handing out cupcakes, celebrating it. At the local park across the street from my apartment complex, there was a man that I met, never saw him a day in my life. He was crying hysterically when my friends and I were counter-protesting these pro-Hamas simps. I went up to him to see what was wrong, and he told me that his family had been massacred in Israel, and now there were these pro-Palestinians sitting across the street from where he lived, chanting in celebration of it, right? The images that I saw that day, I'm never going to forget, and then I saw instant justifications and people celebrating it because to them, terrorism was funny and acceptable. Moving on from that, then we saw the 3 assassination attempts, now 4 against President Donald Trump. And I saw people celebrating that, right? Political violence had become normalized to the left, something to joke about, something to relish, and something to celebrate because God forbid somebody think differently than you do. And then the man who I can thank my entire political career to, essentially Charlie Kirk, murdered in cold blood because he was having a conversation and they couldn't defeat him in any other way except to ultimately silence him forever. And once again, I saw the left out there celebrating and cheering it on and praising people like Hassan Piker, who just a few days ago was once again trying to justify political violence. And I saw people like Nancy Pelosi getting out there and saying to make it uncomfortable for anybody who supports the Trump administration. And I saw people like Jasmine Crockett refusing a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk, screaming F no in Congress when they asked for a moment of prayer for him. So this is what the left has become, and I'm sick and tired of pretending that they are anything other than what they are.
There you have it. There you have it. People are waking up. People are waking up. She did, I did, and many of us are. And channels like this are going to help people who are on the fence. They're coming and realizing that the party that they've been attached to their entire lives is not what it actually cracks up to be. Many lies, many contradictions, so much hypocrisy. First thing she touched on was that they're domestic terrorists. Yeah, Look at all these assassination attempts on the president. They took out Charlie Kirk, who was coming to campus to speak with young adults, young voting age adults, to have constructive dialogue. And like she said, they couldn't beat him with words, so they had to put a bullet in his neck so everybody could see it. That's you. That's y'all, Democrats. Y'all did that. Democrats just recently have been found indicted on funding the KKK and other racist and white supremacy groups to incite racist violence. You can't make this up. The party who created the KKK is still in 2026 funding the KKK. And you got people trying to find a way that it's acceptable or argue their way out of it. You can't argue your way out of this. Imagine if Republicans, it came out that they had been funding the KKK. Y'all will lose y'all shit. But since you are a part of the Democratic cult at this point, you gotta find some type of way to rationalize it. And the gymnastics, the mental and verbal gymnastics that happens when you bring something like this to a leftist is absolutely mind-blowing. It's a mental illness because it needs to be studied. How they have captured these people's brains to the point where they don't even think logically anymore. They have suicidal empathy. They have empathy towards literal murderers, PDF files, rapists. As long as they're an immigrant, they're angels. You got these people going and fighting in the streets against federal agents who are trying to catch violent criminals. And to the point to where the left has juiced these people up so much. They galvanized these people so much, stuck a battery in their back and took their brains out of their head and got them going and sacrificing themselves. It's sad. It's sad. And people are done with it. People are done with it. The contradiction to things like voter ID. Not too long ago, everyone was for voter ID, including Chuck Schumer. And now all of a sudden it's racist. When 80% of black people voted and said that they want voter ID and they have no problem with it. Who is it racist against if black people don't even think it's racist against them? Bigotry of low expectations. You think black people are too poor, too stupid to go get an ID? You're wrong. I made a video about it. Go find it. And what's the problem is they don't even listen to the voters in that particular issue. No issues. It's like 80% of American people in general, I believe it's more than 80% of African Americans and more than 80% of Americans in general say there's no problem with voter ID. But you got these politicians who are still going to fight it. Why? Cheating. That's what they want to do. Just going to say it. I was nice about it in my last video, but they want to cheat. They want to allow these illegals to continue to vote and continue to influence because they know people are leaving that weak ass, contradicting, lying party because the truth is coming out. Whoo. Thank you for the internet because we get to see and hear everything in the past. Everything in the past. We get to see that y'all started the KKK. Black people founded the Republican Party to fight against slavery, while Democrats started a whole war over it. Slave laws, loitering laws, they created redlining, Jim Crow. all this, fought against every single civil rights legislation on the books. Yeah, it was signed in by a Democratic president, but guess what? It wouldn't have made it out the House because the majority of voters were Republican. If it was up to the Democrats, there would be no civil rights for black folks today. And then you still got black folks, the party switch. When did the party switch? Because the Democrats just got caught funding the KKK in 2026. Some things never change, and the parties didn't switch. A couple people might have voted differently because they felt different on a subset of issues, but the party didn't switch. They see black people are leaving. They're trying to usher in a whole new voting bloc, the illegals, and get them hooked on the government's teat with social services, just like they gave black folks in the 60s and the 70s. Kicked the man out the house, destroyed the family. They're going to do the same thing to the illegals. Come on over here, black folks. Come on over here. Message me. You want to have a conversation? I'm all ears. Because I was once you. I was lost. Now I'm found. You know how I did it? I went and just opened my ears. I was like, let me see what the other side is actually talking about. They can't all be this racist like they say. They can't all be evil. And once I started to listen, I'm like, I believe in that. I was raised that way. They're not evil people. And then come to find out, black people are actually raised very conservative. We vote completely against our nature because we are way more conservative than we vote. Way more conservative. We are some of the most conservative people in the United States of America. But the liberals, they got the black vote in a chokehold. But I love to see the movement. We're moving away because people are waking up. Waking up. Because we're done. The veil is off. The mask is off. We can see how they're moving. They're violent, anti-American, anti-life, pro-illegals, pro-baby deletion, anti-First Amendment, free speech, Charlie Kirk. What is there to like? They're always ushering in new taxes. You see the governor of Virginia, as soon as she got in there, raised like 200 something different taxes. California, taxes insane. New York, Mom Donnie, free buses. He hiked up the fare as soon as he got in. Taxing everything. When are y'all going to learn? When? It's a reason why everyone's leaving the blue states, going to red states. It's a reason why. And it's a reason why everyone's leaving the left and going to the right. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Let me know how and why you are done with the Democratic Party. Leave your comments down in the comment section so we can have a conversation. Until next time, this is the Black American Channel of the Free and the Brave.